Prologue. The Dark Kingdom of Egypt, Lower Egypt, about March 23rd, 3100 BC. Deep in the ancient Egyptian night and in the city of Memphis, guards were on the lookout for foes near and far. As they stood across the Egyptian palace that the new godly pharaoh resided in, ever since the god Osiris was murdered by his younger brother Set, only a year ago, they kept watch for the storm god's nephew, Horus, to show up and take his rightful place. So far, nothing. The one guard in particular had just witnessed an animal that is worse than a dog, worse than a wolf, worse than a lion, walking by. It's one of a kind, yes. With this dark red fur flourished under the moonlight, this animal raised its head in confusion. This is the animal that belonged to the Egyptian god of chaos in the desert, Set. Its glowing red eyes matched its fur nearly perfectly well, the irises, to be quite honest. The Set animal stared at the guard nonstop until the guard himself spotted someone who focused back on the 20-year-old guard. Coming out of the shadow was a god with crimson red eyes, black fur and skin, as well as a collar to cover the shoulders. "Oh, Set, it's just you." The guard bowed to the pharaoh. "I was afraid it was somebody important." "I see." The Egyptian god Set, dressed in a kingly shendi, yet shirtless, smirked. His glowing red eyes glared at the moonlight for a little bit, then focused on the guard. "Abasi, my trusty guard, I'm sure you successfully accomplished your mission on delivering my message of one army in every family to serve in the army all across Lower Egypt, yes?" "Yes, Your Majesty." The guard Abasi chuckled nervously. "I have, though your vizier covered up most of the ground." Set, also known as Setek, clicked his tongue, unamused. "Yes, Chuma is level-headed, but it was not his assignment to do so." "And you let him take care of all that?" "Of course not, Your Highness. He displeased himself." He swallowed hard. "That explains it then." The Egyptian god glanced at his unusual symbolic pet, Fuad, who was scolding Abasi and ready to pounce the guard at any minute now. "I better make sure it won't happen again by sending Chuma to Upper Egypt to spread my message there, while you stay here and keep an eye on the mortal, quote-unquote, royal family, making sure they won't plan any rebellion against me." "Yes, Your Majesty." The guard bowed down to him. His palms were sweaty, extremely bad. By the time Set and his sidekick left back inside, Abasi sighed as a relief. Chapter 1, The Light Kingdom of Egypt, Upper Egypt, near an oasis. About March 24th, 3100 BC. Quiet, calm, respect, polite. I read my ancient hieroglyphic painted writing written upon my light tan-skinned wrist and forearm, just as a reminder in case I forgot something or whatever. I picked up a piece of duck meat from my breakfast bowl into my beak, chewing it as I was sitting on the side of my bed. Reliable. I then swallowed the meat after chewing it down, clearing my throat with a swish of water. I took my ancient Egyptian pen out of my long, dark brown hair, placed it in my blank ink, and out. Continued reading. Generous, poised, and let's see here. I painted another hieroglyph on my arm. When I saw the results, I finally read punctual. Glancing at the sun rising and looking at the obelisk shadow 3 feet apart from my palace-like home, I then realized that I'm going to be late for a ceremony. And not just any ceremony, a ceremony that will prove myself to be worthy to claim the throne that once belonged to my father, Osiris. Indeed, the ceremony is known as my coronation day. And my quote-unquote wedding that is waiting for me before my coronation, which I am not pleased about at all. I quickly escaped from my bed and called out for one of my most trusted falcons to help me with my tasks. Wearing my ancient Egyptian knightly shindy, but nothing to cover my chest or my stomach, and barefooted I hurried to find the smartest peregrine falcon chick that I know, blowing some air to dry my handwritten hieroglyph notes on my arm that I took as quickly as possible to let them dry. Ned Gem? I screeched, searching almost everywhere, but it was lucky that I found the falcon chick, now able to fly on her own, asleep on her perch. Ned Gem. When she awoke, I squawked as she cheerfully stared at me. Ah, yes, there you are, I playfully cooed. Who's the smartest peregrine falcon in all of Egypt? Come on, wise girl. I subsequently whistled, tossing her a bag of corn seeds. Can you help with my task today? Peregrine falcon, female chick, squawked as happily as she could, pecking her old feathers from her chest. While she was distracted, I magically created a device that supported her guidance of my tasks with a reward, another piece of duck meat, upon the front of her view and opened the curtain to allow her to fly through. It was lucky that she was able to toss the reward out of her way and focused on what she was doing. I did tell you that she was smart. After soaring through the curtains, Ned Gem swooped in while in the air, spread the corn seeds upon the grass, well, pretty much everywhere. And there was a small hole in the bag, by the way. This caused the Egyptian geese, ducks, chickens, and other birds to be very excited and devour their breakfast, little by little. And these birds are all over my palace home by morning because of my clever tactic. Next, they usually leave for their original homes by the afternoon because one of my servants normally chases them away while the rest of my servants cleanse the corn mess that Ned, Jim, and I caused. As I watched, I felt proud of myself for accomplishing my plan to complete my tasks. I rushed back to my room, checking if the ink on my left arm was dry enough for me to hide a secret with my golden wrist cuff that revealed a pentagon-shaped ruby or something. When I soothed it, it proved me right that the ink was hard enough to camouflage the secret. I undressed myself from the nightly shindig and my loincloth into a different loincloth, a daily royal shindig. Golden red sash that is tied across my waist, which acts as a belt, a yellow blouse with white sleeves and a golden decoration or whatever across my upper chest and shoulders. And yes, I am a prince. As I was taking care of my own privacy in my princely room, I noticed that my mother, Isis, prayed to my father for helping me impress the most annoying and impatient lady that I have ever met in my life. A mortal who was a matchmaker for all women and men alike. If I am to become the new pharaoh of the gods, I will have to marry a woman. Whether she is mortal or not, which I do not want to do. And by that, I will have to marry Hathor, who is 18 years old right now and the closest goddess and the closest female to my age. The closest female mortal to my age is another 18-year-old named Panya. By the way, but she is interested in someone else. And of course, Pontiac is 2 months younger than Hathor, but I would not allow it at all. It is not going to happen ever in my life in order to be single. Yet I would complete my goals alone, but with the advice of those whom I trust, especially from my cousin, Anubis, and my most trusted ally, Bastet. My goal is to rule alone and to become a warrior, a champion, a god who can bring justice, companion, mercy, and order to my people. If not, or if I cannot survive today's event, I will have no right to lead the whole kingdom of Egypt, but that will not prevent me from reaching my goal. I will find other ways to achieve it, even if it means to suffer and strive through all the conflicts in my pathway, even if today's event will be mistaken. Anyways, after doing so, I gathered 2 wrist cuffs, my golden crown with the double crown with a golden calm serpent in the front, golden angle cuffs, and golden sandals, gathering my mother's medicine that soothed her grief upon my father and some other equipment, mainly my spear and my golden topesh that I need if my mother's kingdom is under a conflict of chaos and destruction. I then marched onward to meet my mother. Along the way there, I noticed that poor Netgem is frustrating to reach the duck meat I offered her as reward, after noticing that she completed all my tasks for me. So I snapped my fingers and my magic disappeared, allowing her to chow down her breakfast. "Mother, I brought your medicine," I announced. The mother and I bumped into each other, allowing me to catch my weapons, the medicine, and all other stuff I carried, such as a goblet to position the medicine that I snatched earlier, including myself from falling into place. Unfortunately for me, it didn't catch the goblet, because I was carrying too much other stuff in my hands. Though the goblet broke, which made me feel foolish for trying to be supportive of her, but my mother didn't seem to care about my foolishness. My mother, whose beautiful facial experience was gleaming in the daylight with a warm smile each and every day, was barely surprised by me and laughed, which brightened her day. Unfortunately, she sadly missed my father ever since he somehow died last year. For me, I seem to question how and why he passed away that time. Sadly, I didn't have time to ask Mother about it, and there were times when I didn't seem to worry about it too much. So I knew that it was best to keep these questions and let them out someday, which will be revealed later. Mother's turquoise eyes were as beautiful as the Nile River itself. Her lips were red as many of the dresses that belong to most goddesses, especially Hathor. Her skin is fairly tan, lighter than mine, and it flourished everywhere she walked. Mother then has her hair down, straight and brownish black, but not braided, with a queenly crown upon her head, but not of a vulture. Instead, the crown was more of covering across the forehead, and one of her symbols, the horned god, the sun disk, is the jewel in the middle of the crown. Her wings, which are more of a decoration than a weapon or whatever, upon her golden ruby arm and wrist cuffs ran over her arms as she waved, stretched and even flapped them whenever she drew on her wind gust. And they were everything from the colors red, yellow, and white, her color, to their potential. Her circular horn disc on Mother's back flourished within her physical appearance, with every ancient Egyptian symbol highlighted in the yellow. Mother wore large circular dangling earrings upon the edge of her ears and dashingly reddish-orange shadow that flowed across her eyes. She adorned a red and yellow collar across her neck, with a red jewel in the middle that revealed a little knot of Isis, her actual symbol. She was also wearing a sleeveless short top that revealed parts of her own bust that acted as a whatever you might want to call it, which also has another red ruby in the middle. Along with that, Mother was barefooted, wearing a shindig that is also revealing in the same jewel on her collar, but larger, and the same symbol was upon her golden sash right in the middle of her shindig. Horace, Mother smiled so sweetly at me, shaking her head politely. I brought a spare, I continued, magically replacing the goblet that broke with a new one, pouring the medicine in it. Remember, Mother, the priest wants you to slowly drink 3 teaspoons of aloe to cleanse your grief by day and 3 by night. Horace, my son, it is time for you to become the new king with your future wife, Hathor, the most beautiful goddess in our family. But by the way, you should be in the market town place of Edfu by now. We're counting on you to claim the throne so I can replace you and Father even after defeating my uncle by bringing honor to the family. But don't you worry, Mother. I will not let you down. Without peeking, I camouflaged some of my hieroglyphic notes with my right hand, in order not for my mother to seek what I was up to previously. Before I transformed myself into a falcon, my mother allowed me to gather my 2 main weapons from the ground and headed out, or else I'm going to be late. I snapped my fingers once more to politely have my spear and khopesh teleport to my ceremonial location, having it easier for me to be on time. But I am not really looking forward to this day, and I don't even want to marry Hathor. Wish me luck, I called out to my mother with a fake smile. Hurry, you're going to be late, I heard Mother shout, waving a good luck sign. And of course, I know I'll be late if I don't hurry, so I ignored her as I formed into a falcon and flew off to my ceremony. Before I move on, allow me to introduce myself and a little bit of my backstory. As you already know, but for those who don't know me, I am Horus, the ancient Egyptian falcon-headed god of the sky and kingship, son of Osiris and Isis, rival to Set, my uncle. I was born 19 years ago. (3119 BC) to the Egyptian pantheon, to very wise parents who came from royalty. For me, I am indeed truly grateful for my parents and for being part of their Egyptian civilization. At the age of a toddler, probably around 2 years old, I was stung by a scorpion, so my parents took me to Thoth, an ancient Egyptian ibis-headed god of wisdom and knowledge, who advised them to allow the moonlight to heal me. So they did, anyways, and the reward was that I was healed. 3 years later, I was currently 5 years old. My cousin Anubis, who was formerly 3 years old, and was found by my mother, and as my father trained me to become a great archer. I was lucky that I got to see my cousin for the first time in my life, getting to know him a lot more, formed an impressive relationship with him. He became my best ally ever since, but there were times when I thought I was better than him, strengthening my arrogance. So all he ever did was to ignore me, but most of the time, we got along. As the two of us grew older, wiser, braver, and more mature, I trained and worked hard, teaching myself how to maneuver many weapons, but I refused to practice an axe or a mace. Meanwhile, Anubis improved his mummifying abilities at that time and continued protecting my mother from conflict. And at that point, I recognized that I possessed a dream. The dream to become a brave, protective, skillful, loyal, and heroic warrior. But my mother desired to become the next ruler one day. Desired me to become the next ruler one day. The day when my father will pass on the throne to me. I knew that mother was right. I had to be both a warrior and a pharaoh at once. Mother has been assisting me since I was a kid, but one day it will be the time for me to create my own future without her support. Not long ago, about 3 months ago, my mother challenged me to bring honor to my family tree and to my father, who wanted me to make him proud each and every day. And this is a story on how I completed the task to bring that honor to my mother, my cousin, my father, and the rest of my family tree. And even if I completed the task to bring honor to everyone in my family tree and my kingdom, I still have to keep the honor to everyone. My father, Osiris, somehow passed away last year, 3101 BC, when I was 18 years old, due to my absence of training harder to become a skillful warrior by using many weapons except the mace and the axe. Nonetheless, I would love to tell you all about that, but I have to keep moving onward. So anyway, in this myth, and in my perspective, I will tell you all, through all my trials and tribulations that I suffered. And you might already know most of my myth and some parts of my perspective, but not the whole story. So again, let me tell you how I became the rightful heir to the throne. How I became the king of Egypt, and not just by reuniting them after I defeated my uncle for avenging my father, but by bringing honor to all my family members and all the mortals, not just my mother, becoming a hero and the most revered warrior in my family. This is a story on how I made my dream a reality, becoming myself as the warrior king of Egypt.